Hello, 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 Transurfer and the Transurfing Curious. My name is Renee Garcia, guys, and this is Transurfing TV. I bet you all thought I was going dark for a minute, huh? About 6 months since Spiritual Capitalist, the video launched. It was like my... That was my 2-hour just like let loose on all things financial, telling my story. If you did not catch that video, go back and take a look. But this was a massive moment for me in my life with my personal evolution, my financial evolution, my trajectory, taking this knowledge to an even deeper level. Man, the rabbit hole just continues to open up below me, and I have some tremendous insights to offer you guys today. This is going to be a video on switching avatars or shifting avatars, and it's going to be chock full, guys. I'm going to talk about the mirror. I'm going to talk about center screen. I'm going to talk about one of the Tufti concepts, the 3 achievements way, which I call becoming a triple threat, and a bunch of other transurfing insights and how they align exactly to what it is that I've experienced this last 6 months, including my book that I'm in the process of creating the audio for, Quantum Capitalist. This is part of where the last video led me. I mean, man, my reality just opened up before me, and I'm going to spill it all, you guys. Before I get started, remember, everything's below. Join the Facebook group. We've got courses. We've got new VIP packages. Everything's below. Check it all out. And if you got any questions, obviously just ask in the comments and I will answer. So I'm going to start with my absolute most favorite quote of all times. Oswald Spangler, who was a German 20th century polymath, he had transurfing down to almost the exact, like if you go back and look at his work, he knew what he was talking about, and man, he nailed it with so much of his philosophy and insights. And one of the things that he said that I absolutely love and is directly in line with what it is I'm going to talk about today is tension without cosmic pulsation to animate is the transition to nothingness. So, wow, what the hell does that mean? Well, I believe that if you choose to adopt my visual representation of the alternative space or the space of variations, the quantum field, as linear life tracks stacked upon each other, the highest being your best version of reality you can access, and then the lowest being your bottomed out, depressed, anxiety, all is lost, you're lost, and you're not feeling good about your life or your experience of reality. So if you like to adopt this, we do have the suspended state, but as I am beginning to really see, we're actually never suspended. We may be just moving a slight bit up or down, so it gives us the illusion that we're suspended, but more or less we are either evolving or degrading, evolution or degradation, never really stagnation. And when there is tension in your reality, when there's tension in your sector of reality in your life, and you do not give way to that cosmic pulsation, drawing you out of whatever it is your experience is, what it is you're experiencing, when you do not give way or you do not tune in to this cosmic pulsation, you're essentially in degradation mode. You're going down, and this down simply because we have a lifespan and we deteriorate both of mind and body over the span of our lives. We give in to nothingness and we stop evolving. So reality transurfing is giving in to this cosmic pulsation and allowing the alternative space to extract you from your experience of life and your current sector of reality and thrust you up to a higher and better version. And this is a complex scenario in some regards. In other regards, such as avatar shifting, I've realized that the actual shifting of your avatar, and I'm going to get into exactly what this means in a moment, but your actual physical materialization of a higher and better version of you is very, very, very easy to do. Like, it can go, you can do it in a snap, in a flash. You can change in a single second, in a single moment, to an entirely new person if you choose to do this. Where the problem lies is physical reality and our variables, the people in our lives, the construct of our sector, and lots of external feedback that not only keep us from feeling and becoming and animating one of these new avatars, but continue to feed us with information and reinforcement and feedback that keeps us connected to those lower versions of ourselves. And this is exactly what's happened for me this last 6 months. And I had to wake up to the fact that this was happening and get real about what it was that I was actually doing, because I felt as though I had fractured in some ways. There were the things that I intended for, the things that part of me, the higher parts of me, were actively working towards every single moment of my life. But then there were parts of my reality, my sector, my daily life that were continuing to feed me with information and images and all sorts of feedback that kept me from transcending to some of those higher places that I've intended for myself. So I want to start this lesson by speaking about the infinite versions of reality. This is wildly touched on in Reality Transurfing Steps 1 through 5 and my teachings, that there are these, infinite versions of reality behind the mirror. And I'm going to talk about the mirror extensively a little later in my chat. But to start, I want to say that we emphasize this infinite versions of reality idea, and there absolutely are. But the part that we don't really emphasize is the idea that just as much as there are infinite versions of reality behind the world's mirror, there are also infinite versions of ourself. And these I'm going to refer to as avatars. The reason that I say avatars is because I don't believe if you really get involved in the philosophical points of quantum mechanics. I know that sounds kind of weird, philosophical quantum mechanics. But if you go into it and you believe in this idea that there are infinite versions of reality playing out at the same time, therefore infinite versions of you playing out at the same time, this gets extremely paradoxical and overwhelming and sort of feels far-fetched, right? But as transurfers know, there are infinite versions of reality behind the world mirror, and what it is that we do in our current place in space and time materializes, pulls one of those versions of reality from behind the mirror and materializes it here in the present moment. So this is how I like to view these avatars. They're not animated. They are avatars. It's like one of those video game screens before you play a game where you're flipping through the characters and you arrive on one, this is sort of where it's at for me. And this is what I've realized about myself in the last 6 months is there are an infinite number of versions of me unanimated. And it's in my connection to those versions of me that animates them. It's within my actions and my thoughts and my frequency and my guiding theory, the theory that I hold about myself and my life. And this is all I've really been doing for the past 10 years. I mean, I've been doing it even prior to that, but not exactly knowing what it was that I was doing. Now I am lucidly aware of what it is that I'm doing, and even more valuably, the last 6 months has been hyper lucid awareness. So again, attention without cosmic pulsation to animate is the transition to nothingness. The alternative space is constantly feeding us some type of information or signals, signs, different cues, doors for us to transition, for us to animate. And it's all there waiting for us to step in to these different sectors of reality. Why most people don't do that is because the current avatar won't allow it, doesn't understand it, is bogged down by the current variables, which I'm going to talk extensively about on this video. And it's almost like your current sector of reality has you tethered to it. And you want to step forward. You want to animate, but sector is hindering that transition, and lower version of yourself is also hindering that transition. So once you begin to really dive into this idea that behind the world's mirror, there are an infinite number of versions of reality and an infinite number of versions of yourself, it's overwhelming to a certain extent, but at the same time, it really drives a hard focus on, okay, there are different variations of me. What do I need to do now to connect? And mostly, I believe it's in letting go of the prior version of reality, prior sector, prior variables, and prior self, and then diving into this place of discomfort where most people don't want to go. And this is why most humans are stuck. Imagine it like there's a version or a sector of reality that you can see. Now you can't really see it, but you know it's there. You believe that it's there. You believe this version of you is there doing whatever it is that you want to do, new profession, a new lifestyle, a new romantic partner, whatever it is. But in between that version and where you're currently at, there's a moat. And you've actually got to dive into the moat and swim across. But the challenge is when you're in the moat, it's complete darkness and you don't exactly have your feet on the ground. You haven't seen reality shift or change yet. And you're uncertain of your direction, and you're uncertain of if you've made the right choice, and you're uncertain of yourself, and obviously you've got to let go of that past, and this is very scary for humans. Again, this is why most people stay stuck. So now this brings me to my experience, what the last 6 months of my life have been like. So for those of you that have been following my videos, especially the whole thing with the move, leaving the US, coming here to the Republic of Georgia, this was to facilitate a state of being that I was looking to to have for myself. There were a lot of reasons why I did this. Practical reasons, pragmatic reasons, creative reasons, financial reasons, but mainly I wanted to give myself an opportunity to embody an avatar that held a state of being that I believed 100% to be here. I saw it, heart and mind lit up when I was here. I knew it was here. So I did all the things that I needed to do. I bought property, I got rid of all my stuff, I convinced my partner to come along, I left a business in the US, I started a new business here. I began to put my roots in and materialize this version of reality, which I did. A lot of it worked. A lot of it worked. A lot of it was feeling very good. I was feeling satisfied in my decision. I was liberated from a tremendous amount that was hindering me, just like I'm talking about, that tethering to a sector that's no longer serving you and having to dive into that moat, but you don't really know what's in there, and there's lots of uncertainty. But I was making it to the other side of the moat. I had made it to the other side of the moat. And there was confirmation from my environment that I'd absolutely done the right thing. However, there were parts of my life and parts of my, there were variables in my sector of reality that were tethering me from fully merging to the version of myself that the whole thing was about in the first place. And this primarily was my romantic partner of 6 years. So when we lived in Montana, when we lived in the US, after we'd moved from California, we weren't doing bad, but we were living in a rental. We were socially isolated. There were lots of parts of the sector of reality that we had materialized that weren't exactly intended for me. And there were some serious, there were things missing that I knew I ultimately needed to feel satisfied in life. And that's what this move was about. It was not the same for my partner. And my partner, I know some of you have messaged me both publicly and privately, which I'm a little surprised by, but I know some of you don't like that I talk about my relationship publicly, but it's like, I need to talk about this part of my experience so you can catch the gist of why relationships are so valuable in your reality creation experience. So if you don't like it, you can turn the video off. That's another thing. The haters that are watching the videos that are saying stuff, you don't have to be here. You don't have to watch these videos. It is an option, it's a choice. You can turn it off and you can go watch something else. But disclaimer, I'm going to talk about my relationship now. I'm sorry if you guys feel that it's disrespectful or uncouth for me to throw my partner under the bus, but I really don't give a shit. So my partner not doing well in his life, a number of pretty significant missteps, a deep deep disconnection from his soul frail. The chasm between where he is and that thriving version of himself somehow widened with this move. And this presented to him a very polarizing situation because the chasm widened for him. More contempt for reality, more contempt for himself, self-loathing, all those kinds of things. And then here I am, la-da-da. I'm just creating my own reality. And I'm happy and I'm thriving and I'm writing a book and I'm financially better than I ever have been. And I've got this beautiful house that I've fallen absolutely madly in love with. I am riding the horse, right? I'm doing it, but polarizing and very, like, he couldn't deal. He couldn't deal with watching me do well in life. So he began to act out in certain ways and express discontent relentlessly. And I could hang to a certain extent because after 6 years, I realized this is just kind of who he is. Let him be him. You can still live your life, have your reality. And in a lot of ways, I was successful in just sort of doing my thing and continuing on with my trajectory and all that kind of stuff until I wasn't. Until I hit a point where I had to ask myself, very, very, very honestly ask myself, what is it exactly that you're intending now? You know, you've arrived here. You have fulfilled all the requirements to transurf yourself an epic reality. But what's next? But most importantly, do my current variables in my life support the next transition? So I'd ask myself, what is it that I truly intend? Well, I truly intend that I feel wealthy. Not that I am wealthy, that I feel wealthy. And these are two very, very different things I have come to realize. You can have money, but you can feel like shit about yourself financially. And this is kind of what started to happen for me. I was being consistently presented with information verbally that what it was that I had created for myself, was triggering and harming someone else. And this caused me to want to retract. And I found myself feeling shameful and trying to hide the fact that I was doing well, because on the other hand, my partner was not. And I began to hide myself. I began to stop talking about my gains and how I felt like I was winning and how things were working out for me so well. And I started to retract. And when I began to really see and understand the severity of this retraction, I began to really think about this. Tension without cosmic pulsation to animate is the transition to nothingness. And I thought to myself, okay, if there is only evolution or degradation, that's all there is. Okay, there's a little bit of gray area there with the suspended state, but even that is just little minute movements that you don't really perceive, but you're still either moving up or down, right? So if this is true, which I believe that it is, my efforts to continue on with this relationship will be my transition to nothingness, because I am forcing myself, I'm compelling myself, I am feeling somewhat shamed into remaining small because it makes another person unhappy. So this seed planted within me, and I tried to shake it. You know, is one of those things, and I'm sure you know what it is that I'm talking about, when you've gained some sort of insight or clarity or something that suddenly transforms your perspective on some aspect of your reality. And you think, God, this won't do. This isn't going to do at all. But then the mind gets involved and says, well, but come on now. You've been together for so long. And what will your family say? And what will your followers say that you had a failed relationship, even though you're an expert transurfer? You know, and I started to get all these little voices in my mind telling me all the reasons that I should just stay put. But again, tension without cosmic pulsation to animate is the transition to nothingness. I could not let it go. So I made the very, very, very challenging and difficult call to call it quits after 6 years. Love of my life. I put so much resources into this relationship. It was absurd. Emotionally, physically, sexually, financially. I mean, you name it. I gave it absolutely everything that I had plus 10%. And letting it go was painful. I'm still going through it. It's been a number of months now, and I'm still going through it, but I can feel myself coming out of it, aligning now with my intentions, aligning with the state of being, the avatar that I'm looking to embody. I had to really ask myself, okay, what is it that you want? You want to feel wealthy? You want to be a mystical writer of your own? You want to feel as though you are in command of your reality and feel as though all of the things that you have set up, you are extracting from your external environment all the benefits and positive gains that you can to support you in your transition to this higher avatar. So, what is present that is causing that to not happen? Romantic relationship holding me back, feeling shame, feeling hiding, feeling even the thing with Vadim Zealand. I had to ask myself at a certain point before I started writing Quantum Capitalist, does the mystical writer that is embodying this higher avatar continue to, sorry for sounding so crass, but suck off some other author? You know, this endlessly talking about his work? Or is it time for me to let go and start doing my own thing and start talking about my own work and start writing my own work? I had to really stop and take a look at the variables, my thoughts, my actions, the people in my life, what it was that I was doing exactly, and ask myself, does it align to my ultimate vision? So I had a mad reality cleanse, cleaning your layer of reality, looking around at everything that your reality is made up of and deciding what aligns and what doesn't. It's really as simple as that. So when I say that you can switch avatar in a moment, you can, but you can't do it when the variables, when there are particular variables that are holding you back. So this is where it becomes a real challenge. So, talking about the mirror concept, as we know, reality is our mirror. And what it is that we're doing, what it is that we're showing our mirror, gets reflected back in our direction. So if I want to be a mystical writer, I've got to formulate an image of a mystical writer and do this long enough so my reality eventually confirms this image. Here's the interesting part that I've realized. Getting back to this idea of infinite realities and infinite selves. The mirror is watching your actions, and the mirror is watching your thoughts and your actions. And you're moving to show the mirror something, to connect with one of those higher variations of reality. The higher variations of self is a little bit trickier. So this brings me to people. Oh boy, this is such a challenging topic for me to discuss because I don't have children. I'm not married, obviously. I have said goodbye to certain family members in my life that were no longer supporting a higher version of me. We're hell-bent on helping me to maintain a connection with those very, very, very old versions of me. So I've got a lot of freedom. I've got a tremendous amount of freedom to be able to say goodbye to the non-playing characters, the NPCs, and clean my layer of reality of folks that don't belong there anymore. But this is a challenging topic because I don't want people to alienate themselves from their loved ones. I'm always a little bit cautious to talk about these things because I don't want somebody going and filing for divorce because they watched a YouTube video. But when I talk about cleaning your layer of reality, man, this is where it's at. Just as the mirror reflects back to us our actions and our thoughts, the analogy I use is you're getting out of the shower, you want to stand in front of the mirror and you want to see your hair combed. We don't stand there and stare at the image until your hair magically is combed. You've got to physically comb your hair so the image, the reflection in the mirror, is that of you with combed hair. And I know this sounds wild because it's like, well, of course, that's so silly. Why wouldn't it be? But metaphysically, this is what a lot of people are doing. Standing, staring at the mirror, waiting for something to change when it's you physically doing something that's going to alter the image. The image doesn't just appear. With the people in our lives, it's even more critical because what happens is we form connections and bonds and establish energetic lines between us and the people that we are engaged with in our lives. And those people, especially family, they become fixated on a particular version of you. And just because you're evolving doesn't mean that in their perception you're evolving. So they continue to see you as a version that you are attempting to move beyond. But for them, that can be upsetting for a number of reasons. This could be a whole video on its own. I'm not going to get into why exactly it's upsetting to people, but it's destabilizing. It causes them to have to confront or see parts within themselves, which I feel is what happened with my partner and I. And they essentially want to repeat back to you those prior parts of those different versions of yourself from the past to keep you static. So I have realized that relationships are all in there's one simple question to ask yourself about keeping your existing relationships and creating new, dynamic relationships that are going to help you in your personal evolution. And the question is this: does this person see, acknowledge, and agree with the higher version of me? And do they like the higher version? This is a wild question to start to ask yourself within your personal relationships. It can be extremely destructive, however, extremely destructive, because it's like Pandora's box. Once you see that family member, spouse, whoever, best friend, doesn't want you to evolve. In fact, they want you to be that previous version of yourself. It's like the saying, you'll never become a prophet in your home village. And this is exactly the reason. The people in our lives are the mirror of self. Again, meaty. I could go into this in monumental depth. Maybe I will in my next video. But for now, the simple question is, are your top 5 relationships in agreeance and maybe not necessarily helping you, because evolution is you got to do the work on your own, but are they supporting this version of you that you aspire to transition to? And for me, Eric wasn't doing it. Eric wasn't doing it. Eric did not want me to be an independent, wealthy woman, owns her own home, calls her own shots in life. And I even think he didn't really want me to be an author. He doesn't want me to be... It affected him too much. It's not anything personal, really. It's that when people aren't doing well in their lives, they don't want to see other people doing well. Period. And I had to be real with this. Moving on, center screen. What I'm talking about now with the people, the NPCs, and the variables that are either supporting or hindering you from evolution of self and reality. This is all stuff that plays out in the outer screen. And we become completely distracted and transfixed and hypnotized by these events and by the drama. And this keeps us from the center screen, where we are able to formulate and design what we perceive that higher avatar of ourselves to look like and be, and how we can connect with that version of ourselves, and also that version of reality. When Vadim Zeeland in Tufti Live Stroll Through a Movie talks about the illusion of action, what I believe he's talking about is we're feeling like we're doing something when we're actually not. When we're in our daily lives, we're moving, we're getting in the car, we're driving someplace, we're going to work, we're having an argument with our loved one, we're watching a YouTube video, we're doing stuff. We think, we believe, we feel like we are taking action, but we're not. We're usually just spinning in place because that outer screen is essentially like a little whirlpool. It's got us in there, mixed up in the variables, mixed up in the drama, mixed up in the distractors, the distractions. And our action is indeed an illusion. This is why things like this, tension without cosmic pulsation to animate, is the transition to nothingness. Understanding the value of learning what the center screen is, how to amplify your time within the center screen, taking meaningful action within the center screen, realizing in your mind the different options you have, the different avatars that you can access, the different life tracks and variables and sectors of reality that are available to you, and then taking meaningful, concrete, real action. This is the cosmic pulsation to animate. This is you actually doing something rather than spinning your wheels. So the center screen is crucial beyond anything. I actually did a very in-depth seminar on the center screen concept. It is part of one of the VIP packages. And if there is one concept in all of this that will help you to evolve, it is understanding the magic that transpires in the center screen, what it is, how to stay there, and what to do within the center screen and extract yourself from the outer screen, which is where most people are just spinning their wheels. When you go into this place, the center screen, this is you extracting yourself from the dramas of your life, the scripts that are no longer serving you, the sectors that you have tapped out. And this is you keeping yourself from spinning in the quagmire of your internal dialogue and the voices of your lower past selves telling you that you can't do something, or you should stay small, or blah, blah, blah. You get what I'm saying? When you can find this middle place, the magical middle world, as Gurdjieff called it, this can be a very, very uncomfortable place for a period of time. And getting used to the idea that you are going to have to act in the direction of what it is that you intend to have without seeing confirmation of reality and the world mirror, or you first. You're going to have to act first before you get to see that version of reality and that version of yourself. And this can be very, very scary for a lot of people. It can be very, very destabilizing. It's that moat that you've got to swim across to get to those other sectors and those other variations of yourself. I'm going to get into some solutions on how to traverse sectors going over this place of discomfort and what to do in there specifically. I hope this video isn't getting too esoteric. Questions. I will answer them all below. So you've got to dive into discomfort, and you've got to be prepared to act for an extended period of time without seeing physical confirmation of that avatar materializing or that sector of reality. And you have got to let go of the parts of your reality that are no longer aligned to what it is that you're looking to have. And you have got to let go of the people that do not align to those higher versions of you. I want to quickly touch on choice here because this is a really interesting part of reality transurfing that gets absolutely lost in translation. My God, if there is ever anything that people mess up so epically and have such a warped and toxic view of this one bit of knowledge, this is it. So in steps 1 through 5, it's stated that if you want something higher and better for yourself, make the choice. Just choose something else. Change the channel, right? Order that option off the menu. The alternative space supermarket. Go in and pull the item off the shelf and put it into your shopping cart. How people translate this, how people view this bit of information is, oh, I want something. I want to be something. I want to have something. I want to do something. I want a particular type of relationship or profession or whatever. I'm going to choose it, right? Because he says, just make the choice. I'm going to choose it. But then wait a second here. I just chose it and it didn't appear. Reality transurfing doesn't work, right? This is what I hear a lot of people say. I chose the thing and it didn't appear, so reality transurfing doesn't work. What Vadim is trying to say in this information is if you want something higher and better for yourself, whatever it is, are you making the choices that align to you having the thing or not? Period. Are you continuing to choose things that don't support this thing, or are you making new choices that do? Period. And back to my relationship falling apart, or me destroying it rather. I wanted to feel content and like I could enjoy the version of reality that I had created for myself. I could enjoy my wealth. I could enjoy my success. Yet I was continuing moment after moment to have certain things in my reality that did not align with that choice. And this is very, very sobering when you realize that you're doing this. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where it gets a little controversial because I'm sure you probably, they could say, well, God, what does that mean? We just throw people out of our lives? If you want a new choice and that's what it takes, are you willing to do that? Are you willing to do that? I am willing to do that. I have come this far. I have traversed God knows how many sectors of reality. I have done so much self-work. It is borderline absurd. I have put in the hours, the action. I've done everything that I can to materialize a sector of reality of my choosing, yet a couple of things weren't aligning, and I was continuing to choose those things also. And those are tethers. And I snipped that motherfucking cord, right? I snipped that cord. Hardest decision I ever had to make. But this is how valuable my cosmic pulsation to animate is. Nobody is going to keep me from the state of being that I will embody. that I will embody. Moving on to triple threat, the 3 achievements way. Huge. Tufti, and I'm gonna get into my little formula in a moment of what I want you all to walk away with, to do some work, your homework. Tufti is going to be one of them, because all of this stuff is really, this is all Tufti. The 3 achievements way, working on your self-development, propelling your reality, and propelling yourself within your current frame. I'm not going to get into exactly the teachings. Go back and look at the 3 achievements way, or look at the videos here on this channel. But this is partly how you cross that channel, how you cross that moat, how you traverse sectors, how you switch avatars, develop yourself, propel your reality, which means choosing the variables that align to your intention, and propel yourself within the current frame, meaning taking action. If you do this, you will find success with whatever it is you want to have, whatever it is you're looking to have. You will get there. But if you are not experiencing the reality or embodying the avatar of your choosing, it is because you aren't doing one of those 3, or maybe all 3. Letting go of, so let's just look at the triple threat thing from a perspective of physics. Developing yourself, right? This is moving forward, propelling reality, again, moving forward, and propelling yourself within your current frame, moving forward. Action. This is all forward movement. What's holding you back from the forward movement, from that upward trajectory, from diving into the unknown, or diving into discomfort, or crossing the moat, however you want to envision it? What is holding you back from the cosmic pulsation to animate? Is it others? Is it you unwilling to let go of a dead variation of reality, a dead sector, a sector that has been tapped, a reality rut? Are you unwilling to let go of versions of yourself? Are you still adhering to patterns and characteristics and parts of you that are tethering you to your current frame, to that script, to that reality rut, and you're blaming something other than what you really need to be looking at, which is doing those 3 things: development of self, propelling reality, and propelling yourself within the current frame. Developing yourself, propelling reality, letting go of variables holding you back, and propelling yourself within the current frame, you taking action. I feel like I've got this thing dialed into a fucking science, but this is what it takes. This is what it takes. This is what it takes. Learned helplessness. I want to touch quickly on learned helplessness before I'm going to give you guys a bunch of tools to walk away with. I have realized that people that do not have the reality that they want for themselves, people that are not experiencing the reality that they want, people that are not the person they want to be, people that feel like they don't get it, people that are feeling stuck, they are suffering one or all three of these things. Laziness, inability to take action, that action muscle has atrophied. I know it's not exactly a muscle. I don't really have another way to visualize it, but with learned helplessness, we render ourselves unable. A lot of times it's easier to align with the theory that, oh man, I don't know what to do. That's not going to work. I tried that once before and it didn't work. I'm not going to try it again. I might as well just sit here and doom scroll. I might as well binge Netflix for the next 10 years. Lack of action is nothingness. You're stuck in a wormhole of degradation. You're just going down. Learning how to take action, learning how to convince yourself that your learned helplessness was a coping mechanism for feeling helpless in your reality, which you are no longer. You have access to higher tools and higher information. And if you say to yourself, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know what action to take. I don't know what my goal is. You're not going to realize your goal doom scrolling. You're not going to realize your goal Netflix binging. You're not going to realize your goal arguing with the same people in your life that you've been arguing with for God knows how long. You're not going to realize your goal running that internal dialogue of learned helplessness. Laziness, learned helplessness, and the other people in your life that do not see that higher version of you, those are the three things that are probably holding you back. And the answer to that is the triple threat, right? Developing yourself, propelling reality, and propelling yourself within your current frame. I did a video on learned helplessness. Go and take a look at that one. It's really, really good. And then obviously all the Tufti stuff as well, and the anomalous action, which will segue me right into what tools I want to leave you all with here today. The anomalous action challenge. If you have convinced yourself that there is no action that you can take in your life, you are being played by the matrix and you are being played by the lower versions of yourself. You have got to break out of that mindset and learn how to take anomalous action. Period. I know there was some dipshit in the ITI Facebook group that said, I don't believe in anomalous action. We shouldn't do things just because we need to take action. We need to take inspired action only. And what I hear when I hear people say something about inspired action or taking inspired action is I need to sit back and wait until I feel inspired. And this gets you caught up in a feedback loop with the mirror where you are eternally waiting. Because if you're waiting for your mirror to show you something so then you can move, I mean, is it a possibility? Yeah, it's a possibility. Is it probable? No, especially if you're doom scrolling and Netflix binging and arguing and getting eternally sucked into that outer screen. You most likely are not going to encounter something that is going to inspire you. That's just my 2 cents. Learning how to take action so you get that energy circulating in your reality just because you're making new moves, and that energy will ultimately kick up something that will resonate and ignite both heart and mind And when that happens, you're not standing there like a deer in the headlights, not knowing how to take action. You know, because you trained your action muscle. You can move into that avatar and you can move towards that sector of reality. Read Tufti. We have the Tufti audiobook, we have Tufti videos, we have Tufti lessons, we have a Tufti course, we have all kinds of Tufti stuff that is going to help you get out of that nothingness, that downward spiral. Exiting the matrix and quantum clearing. I would not be the person that I am today without this information, period. Especially quantum clearing. My God, especially quantum clearing. So with that, I know that these are incredibly challenging times. My inbox has more messages in it than ever. People saying they hate their jobs, they feel stuck, they don't understand why reality transurfing isn't working for them. Please tell me what to do. And this is what you do. This is what you do. There are infinite versions of reality available to materialize behind the world mirror. Your thoughts, your action, and your frequency brings to life these variations of reality. There are an infinite number of versions of you, avatars behind the world mirror. You've got to move in to one of those avatars by acting in the direction of the perceived actions that avatar would take before it's comfortable to do so. It is super uncomfortable. My God. I have a number of people in my life that don't believe in me as a writer. I have a number of people in my life that don't believe in me as being a face for transurfing. I've got a number of people in my life that don't believe in me beyond white trash version of me. I've had lots of this feedback layered on me for years and years and years. And I will admit there are times where I am taking action where it is extremely uncomfortable because I can hear these people saying these things. I can recall the information that I access that contradicts what it is that I'm doing. Being able to continue to act away from that stuff in the direction of that avatar. This is real growth. This is discomfort like I've never experienced in my life. Sitting down and writing this book, my God. There were moments that I was besides myself, convinced this isn't for you, you should stop now. But I didn't. And sure enough, maybe Ab can plug the book cover here. It's happening, right? It's happening. What do you want? Do your variables, the people in your reality, your thoughts, and your actions align to this vision? Do you want professional freedom to do your own thing, be an entrepreneur, be a creative, yet you continue to convince yourself of your 9-to-5, that there's nothing beyond it? Do you want to be something higher and better, but your romantic partner doesn't want that for whatever reason, or a family member? So are you willing to sever some of those things and freaking blast off? Go for it. Go for it. Right? This is what it's about. It's about moving forward with all those actionable things, but You've got to let go first. Otherwise, it's just tension. It's conflict. It's an aggregate version of reality that's agitated, and the people in your life are confused and don't like it, and there's variables that don't agree with it, and there's chaos. So it's about severing and cleaning your layer of reality and aligning to people that see that higher version of you, and doing the triple threat movements along with anomalous action and along with Tufti stuff and quantum clearing. I know it's a lot, but what are we doing here? What are we doing here? This is real growth. This isn't couch manifesting. This is you becoming the highest version of yourself that you can possibly envision, and doing what it takes to accomplish that. Therefore, materializing a sector of reality that mirrors that version of you. And I know where I'm going. And I know that this sector of reality holds everything that I could imagine being there, including a loving, supportive, romantic partner that wants to see me be a bad bitch. Period. Doesn't want to cut bad bitch off at the knees, right? And I trust my world. My world's taking care of me. Everything's going according to plan. Things are working out beautifully and will continue to do so with ease. I know you guys probably can't see that, but it's there. And this is it. This is where it's at. I know this is a heavy video. There's a lot said in here. Questions, I will answer all questions, and talk about your experience below. What is it that's holding you back? Is it your laziness? Your learned helplessness? Is it the other people in your life? I want to hear about it. I am curious if anyone is going to. Oh my God, Renee, what are you talking about? But this has been my experience. I appreciate you guys watching this video. Again, everything below, Facebook group, courses, other social media, all that jazz. Keep an eye out for Quantum Capitalists. And remember, tension without cosmic pulsation to animate is the transition to nothingness. Where are you going? Up or down? Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.